Hello everybody, my name is Daulton Nelson and today I'd like to give my thoughts on a game I just beat. That game being Crimzon Clover, World Ignition for the PC. Crimzon Clover is a bullet hell developed by Yotsubane and Adventure Planning Service, and published by Dejica. Bullet hells are one of the most abrasive and demanding video game genres in existence, and at least here in the US, the genre is one of the most ignored. That goes for me as well. I can only claim to have played one pure bullet hell game before, with Ikaruga, which I played last year. Beyond that, I've only experienced bullet hell inspired mechanics implemented in different types of games, such as The Binding of Isaac or Undertale. So, I definitely need to catch up to the genre at some point for sure, which brings us to Crimzon Clover World Ignition. A true, pure bullet hell. Vertical layout, shmup gameplay, loads of projectiles coming at you. I'm pretty sure if you were to pick a screenshot that represents the bullet hell genre, Crimzon Clover would fit the bill perfectly. Which does bring me to my first criticism for this game. At a first impression, Crimzon Clover doesn't exactly blow away any expectations, and it can be hard to tell what makes it unique, but dig a little deeper and spend a little more time with the game, and you'll start to see why Crimzon Clover is so loved by bullet hell enthusiasts. For one, the visuals for the game are certainly not subtle. I'm sure you can see on the screen right now how crazy and busy the game gets right out of the gate. There's so many moving pieces that it may lead you to believe that it affects your ability to receive the most important information, and it does hinder that to a degree, but developer Yotsubane makes sure to keep your ship, the enemy ships, and the incoming bullets all on the top layer of the screen. This way, you can have a chance to react to what's coming at you at all times. Furthermore, upon closer inspection, you can start to appreciate the very slick, clean-looking sprite work Yotsubane brings to their game objects. In the same breath, you may also notice the little gameplay facets that make Crimzon Clover stand out amongst the bullet hell crowd. What I'm referring to here is break mode, bombs, and the lock-on feature. First, let's go over locking. As you make your way through Crimzon Clover's levels and are shooting things, you'll notice a fill bar that is your energy gauge at the top right of your screen. To make this gauge fill up faster, you can hold on to a button to lock onto enemies that are inside a certain radius from you. While holding onto the button, your ship will move slower, making you a bit more vulnerable. If you lock onto something and then let go of the button, you'll fire fast, high-damaging missiles at your targets. From there, a multiplier will be rewarded to you depending on how many enemies you destroyed. This green multiplier will be increasing how much energy is going into your energy gauge. Fill up your energy gauge all the way, and you'll be able to enter break mode. Depending on the game mode you're playing, you'll either press a button to go into break mode or enter it automatically. In this mode, your own bullet firing becomes more intense, your lock-on capabilities improve, and the score you receive is greater than normal. If you manage to fill up the bar again while in break mode, you can then go into double break mode, where you're even more powerful and earn even higher scores. Again, depending on which game mode you're playing, break mode either lasts for a certain amount of time or goes on forever. You may also notice a line on your energy gauge. If you get enough energy to cross this line, you can press a button to spend your energy on a bomb that clears all enemy shots from the screen and causes massive damage to enemies. This ability to fire such a bomb is great for getting yourself out of tough situations. It can also be fired while you're in break mode, though doing so will immediately bring you back to your normal self. I really like how these three systems work together, and how each has a risk and reward to it. It gives you more to think about while you're playing, rather than just dispensing your foes. Outside of those three systems, there are also lives which you can earn by reaching certain score thresholds. But the way score works is a bit different in Crimzon Clover than in your normal shmup. Instead of earning an integer when you destroy a ship, the ship will drop stars, which will then fall towards the bottom of the screen. If you're close enough to the falling stars, you suck them up. It is a bit different than what you may be used to, especially since you may be motivated to move towards the stars to collect them, and potentially put yourself in harm's way. And like the energy gauge, there is a multiplier on how much stars you get out of destroyed ships, called a break rate. The break rate is in gold lettering, right above your energy gauge. The rate starts at 1 and goes up as you destroy more enemies. The break rate increases dramatically when you enter break mode, and even more so when in double break. It's a decent enough point system to differentiate Crimzon Clover from most games, although I believe I've seen something similar done when watching videos of Dodonpachi by Cave. Before you enter a session, you'll notice a few options of play at your disposal. First, there's two difficulties, Novice for beginners and Arcade for more experienced players. Both Novice and Arcade share two modes of play. Original mode, which is exactly what it sounds like, where the game plays how you would expect it would, and Boost mode, where your ship will automatically enter break mode as soon as you fill up your energy gauge, and will stay in it until you fire a bomb. Meanwhile, Arcade difficulty adds an additional two game modes, Unlimited mode, which is the hardest and most unforgiving mode in the game, and Time Attack, where you play through one stage, trying to get the best score possible before it ends. Thinking about these game modes, and how the difficulties are applied to them, I'm impressed with how each one is scaled and designed. There's a clear hierarchy of challenge, and Yotsubane throws in unique bullet patterns to keep each mode interesting. This includes making Novice Boost mode feel very different from Arcade Boost mode. Although I will say that I think the Boost game mode is the most interesting part of the game. It feels like Yotsubane's game mechanics are utilized best here. Every other mode is fine, but the engagement I felt from those compared to the Boost mode just doesn't come close. Once you pick your mode of play, you'll then have a choice of 3 ships. Each ship plays pretty differently because of the type of sub-ships that accompanies them. There's the Type 1, which has its shots sprawled out, or the Type 2, whose ships lag behind it as it moves, or the Type 3, which has a more focused, linear shot. There is a 4th ship you can unlock by collecting enough stars throughout all your playthroughs, although I found it a bit disappointing, as it's really just an upgraded version of the Type 1 ship. I wish Yotsubane displayed a little bit more creativity here. Furthermore, the amount of stars you have to acquire to get this ship makes the game a little grindy. Maybe if the amount of stars you had to get was cut in half, or if there was some other prerequisite you had to achieve entirely, then that would have fit the game better. Still, it's a good goal to aspire to as you're playing, as there really isn't a narrative to speak of within Crimzon Clover, and while clearing the game itself can be its own reward, it's nice the developers put in something extra for the player. Regardless, once you pick your ship, you'll then be treated to a tutorial on how to play the mode you pick. You get this tutorial no matter what, which is great for those who pick up and play the game in between long breaks. After you either watch or skip the tutorial, you then get to play through Crimzon Clover and its 5 stages. Each stage is very well sequenced, with the enemy ships hitting their marks perfectly every time, and the bullets from them are very well timed. I was surprised that there were no bullets that were coming from behind me. You also have to fight bosses in each stage. These are pretty tough, but their patterns are definitely memorizable. Experienced players can get through these without getting hit once. The only boss that I thought was a bit much was the final boss, whose multiple phases felt like a chore. Once you beat a boss, you'll get a choice of prize between a 1-up, stars, energy, or a bomb reset. You also are given medals on the left side of your screen, telling you how much progress you've made with each ship. These are another great way to motivate the player, and I hope that as we're approaching the end of this review, that you are motivated to pick this up, because despite its daunting appearance, I think Crimzon Clover is very fun, both for bullet hell beginners and for enthusiasts. So I'm going to give Crimzon Clover World Ignition a final score of a high 7 out of 10. I think if the game was a little less busy visually, the bonus ship was more unique, and there were some better video options for PC, this would be a bona fide masterpiece in my view. But what really matters is that Crimzon Clover can be pretty addicting, taking the familiar concept of bullet hell games and tweaking it to make it feel fresh for all players. That concludes my review of Crimzon Clover World Ignition. If you like my reviews, you can like, comment, or subscribe. I also have my social media links down in the description below. as well as a link to my online portfolio, where you can see video game design works that I have done. There's also a link to my Backloggd profile, where you can see my scores at a glance. And with that out of the way, please make sure to have a nice day.